Welcome, brothers and sisters. My name is Will Keller. It's an honor to be back at another S.E.E.D conference, METAMORPHOSIS. I'm looking forward to all the presentations and the feedback. So today, my presentation title is Rites of Passage, Initiation Through Natural Law. I'm excited for this one. This is definitely a huge topic. But we're going to get down to some of the fundamentals today, and I think there's going to be a great takeaway message. So, I would like to dedicate this presentation to my dad, Bill, who has supported me through all my endeavors, gave me the freedom to fail well, and the how to learn from my mistakes. He showed me what it means to be a man with honesty, integrity, strength, and moral right action. When I was raised, my dad had a phrase, stop, drop, and think, which meant to be present in the moment, drop the emotional reactions, and use discernment and think. So this is one of my caveats to you all today. Stop, drop, and think. Set aside any emotional reactiveness that might come up. Acknowledge that, but listen to the information. Of course, as always, contemplate on it later on, apply it to yourself, and apply it to the world. This is going to be one of these presentations that you might have to listen to over again, but I'm looking forward to the responses. So, the next caveat is simplify the profound. During this presentation, I will be presenting vast, deep topics and distilling them to the core message, which is always based in truth and nature, and it can be applied in life. Nature has no euphemisms. The truth is simple. It is one's own conditioning and programming that promotes complexity and feeds the unbalanced ego. Perception is not reality. It is the lens by which one views the world, and our goal is to align perception to that which is real, the truth. So set aside your preconceived ideas of assumptions and listen with care and open-mindedness, with a willingness to change. That's what open-mindedness means. So communication is vital, but comprehension is key. This is one of my mottos. I'm taking deep topics, breaking them down. Obviously, my comprehension of the information is crucial, but how I convey that to the listener, to the viewer, and their comprehension. So I like to keep things simple and get right to the core message. So we're on a quest. Quest comes from questions. It's not about having all the answers. It's about asking the right questions, which will lead you on a quest of initiation. The ultimate question is why? Why anything? Whatever the problem, the category, the topic, why is the ultimate question. Because then you're getting down to the root of the issue or the topic, down to the causal level. And today this is going to be a journey of self-discovery. So let's start off with the problem before we get into definitions. So the problem is the world is massively uninitiated into spiritual adulthood with a lack of wisdom, of objective morality, and natural law, which is the foundation of a healthy individual and a healthy society. Instead, the majority of humans are grown children, believing in magical beings and fictitious ideologies that support and condone coercive, violent behaviors that violate the natural rights of others. The belief in moral relativism and human authority are the pillars of societal destruction, leading to the current human condition of slavery. The disconnection to truth in nature has spawned solipsism, narcissism, whereby grown children are stomping their feet, demanding their false parental figures of government and religion to provide safety, security, and survival. Right out the gates, this is the problem. We are uninitiated as a collective. The majority of individuals don't even know what I'm talking about when I use that term, uninitiated. Maybe, a good portion of people in this conference understand what I'm talking about, but we're going to dive into it a little deeper. Pura Artunas means the eternal child. This is what the majority of human beings right now, this is what they are. It's also known as the Peter Pan syndrome. Eternally staying in this childlike mentality, not evolving, not growing up, not progressing spiritually. And when I say spiritually, that encapsulates psychological, emotional, physical. It's the whole gambit. There is no separation between physicality and the spiritual domain. It's all spiritual. It's all one. So this is the problem, and I'm going to provide my dissertation and my solution in this. This title is Rites of Passage. Here's a quote by Friedrich Nietzsche. The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die. As well, the minds which are prevented from changing their opinions, they cease to be mind. This means that stagnation is death. The force of involution, the breaking down, and the force of evolution, the building up, the moving forward, is always at play. Nothing is at rest. So, if you're not working on yourself, if humanity as a collective is not progressing, then our current human condition of control, duress, coercion, slavery will get worse. Guaranteed by law, by the laws of nature, by truth. So, what is a rite of passage? A rite of passage is a significant ceremony or event marking a person's transition from one stage to another, often symbolizing their growth, maturity, or change in status. Cultures around the world and throughout history performed rites of passage with some important common factors. A rite of passage includes a process called initiation. So a rite of passage is an event. It's a transformational marker. We understand cycles in nature, the law of rhythm. Everything moves in cycles. Day, night, awake, sleep, the seasons, birth, adolescence, adulthood, midlife, elderly, and then death. All of these cycles. The ancient cultures and the ancient traditions understood nature very well and the laws of nature. They understood these cycles and they embraced it. There was no opposition. They embraced these cycles. They gave reverence for these cycles as well. And of course, there was ceremony and ritual involved, a lot of symbolism. Now, throughout the cultures all over the world, the ceremonies and the rituals vary, but the common factors, the core intention, are all the same. And even today, we have rites of passage still all over the world. And let's go over some of these because, most people are going to recognize them. Here's to name a few. Graduation ceremonies, weddings, coming of age parties, getting your driver's license, college fraternities and sororities, voting participation, religious confirmations, military enlistment, becoming a parent, retirement parties. Now, these are all rites of passage. Yet all of these are artificial passages with basically no basis in truth and in morality. Sure, becoming a parent, yes, absolutely. Wedding, the unification. But the intention around that has been diluted, distorted, misguided. Take a wedding, for instance. It's literally a government contract that most people sign. You could have a ceremony without that aspect, of course, right? But getting your driver's license, right? The right to travel is a natural right, except we're in a condition of slavery, and most people suspend those rights and abdicate that responsibility and give that away. So all of these rights, the majority of them are missing core factors that we need to talk about. So before we get into that, let's still go down to our definitions, which mean clarity of meaning, right? You're taking a word or topic with infinite possibilities, infinite meaning, and you're bringing it down to finer definition, the finite. So all rites of passage incorporate initiation. So what is initiation? Initiation simply means beginning. So from Latin, initium, a beginning, an entrance, enter upon. Initiation is the beginning of a transformational process in an individual. Many cultures had different ceremonies, but the intent and meaning of initiation had common factors with a sole purpose. Initiation is the oldest system of spiritual instruction and was deemed vital, necessary, and an integral process for healthy individual development, which leads to a healthy communal survival. So when I say this word initiation into what is the next question, right? What are you beginning? What are you being initiated into? There's context that's extremely important. So when we think about life and we go through these cycles, every major event in your life is an invitation of initiation. It doesn't matter if it's negative or positive. So all major life events, negative or positive, are invitations of initiation. An opportunity to process an experience, learn a lesson, transmute the knowledge, and transform oneself towards evolutionary consciousness, moving forward, progressing. Initiation, meaning beginning, is setting foot on the spiritual path, but to walk the distance is a free will choice. Initiation is not optional, nor the consequences. So the world is not here to make you happy, it's here to make you conscious. So it's important to know, like I stated in the problem, we are an uninitiated culture, species. This lack of knowledge of initiation is vital for our spiritual development and our evolution. So, one thing about initiation is a word that I'm going to introduce to most people that's not commonly named or talked about, and that is the liminal space. Initiation, the process of initiation, always takes place in the liminal space. So, liminal means, adjective from Latin, limen means threshold, and all of, like, related to, pertaining to. So, it is of, related to, or situated at a sensory threshold, barely perceivable or capable of eliciting a response, or related to an intermediate state, a phase or condition. So liminal space is the in-between spaces. For instance, for an example, in the hallway, the space between two rooms. Now, why is this important for rites of passage and initiation? Because there's a process involved with initiation. That process is the liminal space. It's the time period, the threshold where you do the work. You have an event in life. Bam, there's the invitation of initiation, the beginning. The event happened, right? Now you have to do the work. That is done in the liminal space. So, unfinished initiation, something the majority of people on this planet are involved in. So when you ignore the invitations of initiation, the unresolved energy from the lack of integration anchors below in the shadow of the unconscious mind. The compounding of unfinished beginnings, initiations, will most certainly affect behavior until it has been properly processed. This state is also called suspended initiation. Most of humanity resides in this state, which is one of the main reasons victim mentality and narcissism is so prevalent. The world is massively uninitiated. The social engineers call them the unbegun. It's mocking humanity because the process has started. Just look at human life. Initiation started at birth. The event happened, and the work is to be done in liminal space of our life. And then we have death, the fruits of our work, an event that happened, a heart attack, a health crisis, right? Bam, that is the initiation, the process of healing oneself, processing that trauma and integrating it into oneself to learn and learn from that experience needs to be done. And if it is not, then obviously, it compounds, it stacks up in the subconscious. This is what the shadow is. The shadow is all the aspects of unresolved trauma, insecurities, all the issues that we have not processed and integrated within ourselves. And that definitely has an effect on our state of mind. So, the unbegun, the walking dead, this is what the majority of people are doing. They have not processed. They have not go through that stage in liminal space of the process of initiation and integration and transformation, right? So we see extreme situations as victim mentality, the abdication of accountability and responsibility, narcissism, where people are in their own perceived reality where they take zero accountability for their actions, right? They always put the blame on other people. And of course, this is where government institutions and culture takes advantage of this stuff, this kind of state of mind. So let's talk about the phases of rites of passage. The first phase is separation. You have ending, which is also knowledge and also thought and input. Now, I took the phases of the rites of passage and I also incorporated the trivium process, the threefold pathway to truth discovery. And I also incorporated the three aspects of consciousness: thought, emotion, and action. They all correlate and correspond with each other. So you have the first stage of separation. This is a radical severance of worldview and identity. Individuals that have came across the knowledge, that have began to awaken to the current condition of slavery, they have a shattering of their worldview, of their identity. They are separated from who they think they were and how they thought the world operated. That's the old self. Moving over to step 2 or phase 2, you have the liminal space. This is the transition. Also, the understanding stage. It's emotion. We do deep emotional work. And it's also the processing stage. This is the initiation, and the transformation occurs here in the threshold of liminal space. This is where the actual work is to be done. The in-between self. And then moving over to the third phase, which is integration, rebirth, wisdom, action, output. This is where we become a different person. If you think about when you were asleep and where you're at now, you're a completely different person. It's a completely different level of consciousness. Even our physical vessel is constantly changing. So my physical vessel a year ago was completely different. So there's always change. In the phases of rites of passage, there's these 3 stages, right? Separation, the breakaway, the work, the transformation, and then the end result, the rebirth into the new. So the majority of people are stuck in the in-between self. Here's something you can think about. The truth and freedom community. They are stuck in liminal space. The majority of them. Because they are not actually doing the real initiation process, the work that needs to be done of understanding natural law, objective morality, processing that, applying it to themselves, processing that, and then outputting it. Being born as the new individual that's taking action. This is wisdom. Wisdom is knowledge applied. So as you're integrated, you're in unity consciousness, and you embody activation because it is action. So, moving over to a certain type of rites of passage that I think is crucial and vital. Let's lay some groundwork. Let's talk about brain development. So there are 5 major brain surges of neurons during early human development. These stages are crucial opportunities of growth and transformation. So we have the first stage, which is birth to 1 year old, then 3 to 4 years, then 7 to 8 years old, 11 to 12, and 15 to 18. Now, each of these stages, something fires off. A huge amount of neurons fire off, and a new portion of the brain becomes activated and comes online. Now, around between 15 to 18. Now, 18 would be the latest. It's usually, 12 to 15. But why that is important is that is the biggest brain surge where the brain is connecting both hemispheres, higher cognitive functions with the heart brain and the guts. So it's pretty much bringing all systems online and activating the being, right? Now, here's what's important about this surge. This is also the time period of puberty, when puberty begins, right? What is important about this time period is that this brain surge strives for something. It's looking for connectiveness, interconnectedness. If you look at boys, boys or girls, I'll touch on the genders a little bit later, but most children want to be part of something big, whether it be loud music, going to concerts. This is a time where if purpose and meaning isn't sparked in the individual that sets them on a path, then there's the most devastating loss of brain cells in this process of development. It's quite interesting because this is also an area where schooling, indoctrination, culture really takes hold and tries to mold children into groupthink. So the process of rites of passage for this time period is vital. This is the time period where a young child is getting to know themselves. Their body is changing, first off, right? Just biologically, but psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, it's a huge uptick. And this is a crucial opportunity that needs to be taken advantage of. And there's a problem. There's ignorance of this type of information and what to do. So let's dive into it. Bridging the threshold. In the tapestry of human existence, there are moments that define who we are. There are the threads that weave the fabric of our identity, connecting our past to our present and guiding us into the future. One such pivotal moment is the coming of age, rite of passage, a timeless tradition celebrated across cultures and continents. It's a transformative journey, a bridge from innocence to responsibility, and a testament to the power of community and tradition, or lack thereof. Every ancient culture in the world deemed the initiation of adolescence into adulthood as the most important rites of passage, the coming of age. This is that area of where the brain is surging, the cognitive functions are coming online, the heart space is activated in alignment with the gut and the brain. So this time period is vital. Now, we obviously have a lack of knowledge when it comes to the coming of age. Nowadays, you can get a sex change. You can do this. You can do all these medical procedures at 12, 13, 14. We can see the issues in the world. We can observe them. And we are at a crisis point. The coming of age crisis. Suicide amongst teenagers is at an all-time high. Why? So the infatuation and urge for death in teenagers is natural because teenagers are supposed to die. But this death is not literal. It is spiritual and metaphorical. Your childhood must die so you can become an adult. Unfortunately, the psychological and spiritual framework for this transformation and transition is disconnected from modern culture. The death urge is then actualized in the physical world as opposed through ritual and initiation into maturity. Teenagers are stuck in liminal space, the in-between threshold, due to their own and parental ignorance of this natural process. So, when the pain becomes suffering, they seek physical death. This unfinished initiation can generate into depression, identity crisis, groupthink, bodily dysmorphia, bodily mutilation, or other diseases, anxiety, all this kind of stuff. So this is the crisis of that time period. When a being is coming into themselves, this natural cycle where, yes, they need to die spiritually and metaphorically. This is the occult wisdom, the esoteric wisdom that is lacking in our culture so much. It's brutal. And because parents don't understand this, they cannot be the facilitators, the stewards of this time period, of this transitional time period. It's devastating. So we see government institutions, modern culture, of course, they step in and they capitalize on this time period. This is why pop culture is so popular. So let's talk about, focused on the coming of age time period. Girls to women, becoming womb men. A rite of passage from girlhood to womanhood is biologically initiated automatically with first menstruation, right? First blood, first moon. Rituals would incorporate the whole community in a supportive ceremony. Mothers and grandmothers expressing veneration for the feminine essence of beingness. Now, young girls, right, there's obviously a biological and automatic process of first menstruation, right? It's unavoidable. But the knowledge and wisdom that comes with that time period has obviously been lost, and it's ignored, and people are completely ignorant to what that means to become a woman. Have that feminine essence of care and beingness, and how vital it is, and how important and divine that this process is. So in traditional cultures, we could look even today, right? There's the Kensieta. There's these ceremonies and processes. But in the ancient cultures, there was a more emphasis on male initiation of rites of passage for the coming age. Boys to men. A rite of passage from boyhood into manhood is very much a physical and psychological ritual. This symbolic spiritual death of childhood for boys is the metaphysical separation from mother and the womb. The biological initiation for boys is the biological initiation for boys is the increased production of testosterone, which is fire, internal fire, which is an extremely active element. Therefore, rituals were led by men to show the boy how to harness their spirit of doingness, action. Now, why the emphasis on boys to men is because, unlike women, boys, even though that energy is building up, the testosterone is pumping and they feel that energy and the active fire building up, they need to be shown. They need to be led, motivated. There's a quote, an old quote that says, an uninitiated young man, an uninitiated boy will burn down the village with his own spirit just to feel the warmth. So the initiated boy is learning how to harness that active principle inside them of willpower and action. So, of course, when it comes to young girls, right? I mean, even in a rites of passage of coming of age, even fathers would play a role in the ceremony. Now, the mothers and grandmothers and sisters were definitely leading the rituals and the ceremonies, which they were highly symbolic, used a lot of symbols in their rituals. It's a feminine quality to be able to harness multiple symbols and the energetic component that comes with that as well. For boys, usually just a few symbols were harnessed in or were utilized in ritual. But for boys, this is why there was the separation from the community, taken out in nature, creating that hardship, right? Sometimes for weeks and months. And so they can kill the childhood, the child inside them, and grow from that experience. Now, this is how it was done in the past. Again, I want to have an emphasis on this is not about reverting to the past. This is knowledge taking a core message that applies today as well. So, the solution, right? We have the problem. The masses are uninitiated. We do not, human beings do not understand what it means to be an adult, a spiritual, mature human being. So, what is the solution? The hidden passage, the rite of rites. The knowledge of natural law has been occulted, which means hidden, for millennia from public awareness. Because when humanity activates this universal wisdom, the parasitical ruling class loses their grip of influence and control. The most important rite of passage is through the archway of knowledge to natural law and objective morality. Here, the initiate can attain higher consciousness of how reality operates via the laws of nature, sovereignty, natural rights, and connection to the divine, connection to nature, which is sole purpose and understanding interconnectedness. That we are not separate from nature. We are part of nature. There is no separation. So yes, it is important that we take action and end the human condition of slavery. Absolutely, because we are a part of this. So this is part of the solution, is understanding the pathway. The knowledge of natural law and objective morality is the core factor that the ancients conveyed and passed down and promoted in these rites of passage. How to be a spiritual adult, how to be a good person, how to take action in the world and co-create freedom. Natural law. Natural law is the governing dynamics of creation, which deliver the consequences of humanity's collective behavior. Natural law is the fundamental substrate of all phenomena. It is real natural order and the objective, absolute truth by which a spiritual, mature human strives for harmony and alignment towards evolution. The knowledge of natural law is bridging the threshold from immaturity to spiritual adulthood, whereby a human being has conscience, which is knowledge, and then willfully exercises conscience by moral right action. This is what it's about. It's about understanding natural law, the immutable, universal, non-man-made laws of nature, the governing dynamics, the boundary conditions of reality, and how that corresponds to self. Meaning that if we are ignorant to natural law, the laws of nature, if we are ignorant to what it means to be human and how to act in the world, then absolutely we are going to get the consequences of that, which will be slavery and eventually our demise. Natural law is the cosmic causality. In every category of life, natural law applies. When I say the substrate of all phenomena, because when you get down to the absolute truth and you are viewing, perceiving reality from this causal factor of natural law and its principles, you will have a deeper understanding of who you are, how you operate, and of course, how reality operates. They're one and the same. As above, so below. As within, so without. So, the wise advisor. Nature is the mentor. So let's define mentor. From Sanskrit, mantar means one who thinks. From Proto-Indo-European, men, to think, and also it's an agent noun of mentos, means intent, purpose, spirit, passion. A mentor is a guide or a wise advisor, a stepping stone to elevate higher awareness or help progress the human vessel, the ship, forward in the journey of life. Mentorship is important for humans throughout life, but especially during the coming of age stage of adolescence. The ultimate mentor in every category is, of course, nature. The laws of nature are a guiding force towards evolution, and the deeper we understand natural law, the potential to live wiser increases. Mentorship is crucial all through life. I've had many mentors. I dedicated this presentation to my father. He's been my greatest mentor. Many others. Mark Passio is a great mentor of mine, not only in the philosophical area, but obviously in the technological arena as well, right? A teacher of how to take action and get the message of truth and natural law out there. He's a mentor for a lot of people, and amongst all types of people. I got mentors when it comes to alchemy, gardening, etc. These are stepping stones for our awareness to achieve higher awareness. Now, during the coming of age phase, it's important that parents facilitate this process. One, by understanding the actual knowledge of natural law and objective morality themselves, to be that example, to be that inspiration, to embody the wisdom, right, by taking action within their own lives, but also to influence their children. Educate, to lead them out of the ignorance, the darkness of ignorance, into the light of knowledge. Mentorship, apprenticeship, right? These are all great facets. My homeschool friends, right, understand that for certain families, your child starts to be resistant to receiving information and knowledge from you. That child is seeking mentorship, external mentorship, breaking away from the womb, the family, the nest, the shell, coming into their own, being autonomous and self-sufficient, right? So they're seeking this. And as parents, it's our job to provide mentorship or facilitate mentorship or apprenticeship to the best of our ability. So the stages of initiation. This is where, even as adults, in the truth and freedom community out there, that are stuck in the liminal space, these are the steps of initiation. Number 1, stop lying, especially to yourself. You have to have brutal honesty. Number 2, stop dreaming. Stop the cognitive dissonance. Thinking you are a certain way, living in a fantasy world. 3, learn how to think. The trivium process of truth discovery, grammar, logic, rhetoric. The process of critical thinking. 4, live in the present moment. Practice present moment awareness. So you are balanced and grounded and have a realistic, honest outlook, perception of what is going on within your own life, but also within reality. And number 5, activate the physical body. Because the physical body is the receiver, where we are receiving the signal. It is the vessel. And of course, if that deteriorates, then the mind and the heart go as well. And we're going to need activation in this time period for sure. So beginning the liminal work, the in-between space, this is the steps of initiation. This is what needs to be focused upon. Now, in all initiatory events, have the foundational element of death. Something must die. An old pattern, an old habit, an old identity, perception, ultimately a state of consciousness, a level of awareness must disintegrate for the reemergence of a new state of consciousness into higher awareness. Death before dying. Dying onto yourself. Like the allegory of Odin. Sacrificing himself, dying unto himself for knowledge, to achieve wisdom, to achieve higher consciousness. Think about the 3 phases of initiation. Separation, liminal, integration. We need to let go of our old false ideologies, these belief systems that are obviously not serving us. We need to let those die. But humanity is scared of death. This is the primal fear. All death is based, or all fear is based in ignorance, and mainly the fear of death is the primal fear. We need to embrace this in a spiritual, metaphorical, and metaphysical process. So, initiation is about self-ownership. Discovering your inner authority to own your life. Being responsible and accountable for one's own actions. Understanding your autonomy and sovereignty under natural law. Initiation is becoming a moral human being. And so, initiate means to ignite, to inflame with the fire of truth and right action. This is what initiation is. The rites of passage, the initiation process. It's about self-ownership, being a responsible human being. So responsibility, the ability to respond to what? To yourself, to the human condition of slavery, duress, and violence. What is your response to that? What is your response to yourself, your bad habits, your false belief systems? First, you need to take that on. You need to be honest with yourself and analyze yourself and dissect. Burn it off and reemerge, just like the allegorical story of the phoenix. So, the rites of passage, the initiation through natural law, is about attaining spiritual adulthood. Becoming a mature human being is not just biological, physical development. It is also psychological, emotional, moral, metaphysical, and philosophical, which all are spiritual aspects that comprise a human being who understands the foundational framework of the self, the natural world, and what it means to be a good human being. In modern society, all of these aspects are deflected, ignored, inverted, occulted, and misguided, which can be observed in the aggregate human condition. So all of these aspects, the metaphysical, which means beyond physical, the energetic, the psychological, we need to dive deep into the natural law principles. Mentalism, polarity, vibration, correspondence, rhythm, cause and effect, mental gender. We need to understand these at a deep level because these are the inner workings of nature and the self. This is about evolving. Evolution is the force that is willing consciousness to move forward and expand into more complex forms. It is not just the biological propagation of genes. It is epigenetics, which means beyond genes. The wisdom of morality and the awareness of natural law. Genes can propagate physically, and one can still be devolving due to their opposition metaphysically. A rite of passage is the transference of universal wisdom from generation to generation as a tradition. bringing it to the first principle of natural law of mentalism. It's about your state of mind. This is the metaphysical realm, the causal realm, where every root of any problem resides in the mental realm. So just because genes are being propagated, that does not mean one is evolving. We are evolving when we ourselves are become spiritual adults, moral human beings, and we educate our youth. And our culture transforms into a moral, harmonious culture with nature and with ourselves, where we are co-creating freedom. This becomes the human tradition that we pass down generation to generation. That is evolution, moving forward. It takes some hard work. Facing ourselves is what it takes. Facing yourself. Modern initiation. One does not need to survive in the jungle and fight a bear, or accomplish 20 ayahuasca retreats, or be suspended in a dark cave for weeks to become initiated. In fact, the hardest process of facing yourself is to be done in the mirror. By exploring your internal ecology, your internal environment, breaking down false axioms, illuminating the dark alleys of your psyche, and distilling the soul with pure honesty, courage, and the will for change. That is the great work. The internal process, the initiation process, going through those steps. This is what we need to do. So, of course, go ahead, do the ayahuasca ceremonies. Sit in the dark cave. Those are great aspects, I'm sure, that add a certain aspect of growth. But getting down to the causal, the essence of what initiation is, of becoming a spiritual adult, is facing yourself and understanding natural law and objective morality. That's the hardest work to do. Lifelong process of looking in the mirror and reevaluating your situation and who you are and what you believe and why you believe what you believe. The majority of human beings will not do that. It's our job as individuals to do that work. We have a responsibility as individuals to do that work and to influence others, to inspire others to take that process of initiation. Ultimately, it's a metamorphosis. It's time to grow up, humanity, and relinquish that which binds back our forward progress. It's time to embrace the metamorphosis of real change through initiation, to ignite willpower, exercise conscience, and participate in the one great work of ending human slavery. The responsibility is within your own life to activate true spiritual evolution for truth, love, and freedom. This is what it's about. That internal process, the great work, and activating and taking action in the real world and doing the one great work. The choice, as always, is yours. Ladies and gentlemen, Thank you so much. That is the end of my presentation. There's obviously much more to get into with this, but hopefully I have conveyed the core message of this topic. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to give huge props and respect and gratitude to Brandon Martin and the Seed Truth Academy, the whole team, for this beautiful conference, and to you, the viewer, for your time and attention. So my name is Will Keller. I'll see you next time. Take care.